All right, dog. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. I just rushed home from a workout class this morning, so sorry if I'm a little sweaty, but uh, yeah, trying to take advantage of these weeks off to do as
Good,
much as I can.
good, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. And we have good news on the Dolphin front. Jesse Davis has retired, so Tua's kind of safe for now.
Jesse Davis hasn't been around for a few years now, but
But you
yeah,
never they could bring him back in the middle of the season if there's some injuries, and then Tua's in trouble. You know what I'm saying? So, but
oh
for now,
well.
retired, Tua's a little safer. That's all I'm saying.
You could always bring him out of retirement. I mean, for the
That's
right price. You
I
never know. You could want to come back.
I,
But
I think for any price he'd come back.
yeah, actually. No, I was joking with somebody that Jesse Davis walked so Liam Eichenberg could run. Where like Liam Eichenberg is now what Jesse Davis was like a few years back. Liam has sort of taken that from the Dolphins fan base. Just sort of the way he's villainized by Dolphins fans. I feel like Jesse Davis walked so Liam Eichenberg could run.
I'm with you there. Now, can you answer this question? If this man cannot convince his wife to stay, how's he going to convince Jalen Ramsey to stay?
Yeah, I don't buy it for a second that anything Tyreek Hill can tell him is going to suddenly flip the switch for Jalen Ramsey. So I think that's just Tyreek just saying anything and everything at any given point.
That's this week's attention grabber.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that what it is? That's
Uh-huh.
it. You know what? We got to come up with a little this week's Tyreek. This week Tyreek Hill's attention grabber of the week. That's it. That's what we've got to do. And then we just, last week it was the race. This week it's Jalen Ramsey. We'll see what he works on for next week. What stupid thing he wants to come up with.
Well, it's been the race for so many months now. It's been the race since the off season began, and then the way my colleague Perk was always saying, it's bullshit. It's never going to happen. Sure enough, it doesn't, because we never even had a date. We kept hearing about this race. We wouldn't lock in a date. Then Tyreek, when we asked him about it finally at OTAs, he says, "Well, I'm doing a prelim with these other guys, and we don't even know who these people are, but he's racing some people." And then he does that. I mean, impresses with the 10.15, even though that's not world-class sprinter speed. That's still very good for someone whose primary sport is not track and field. So yeah, still obviously very fast. Kudos to him. But I mean, he's not going to be on the same track as an Olympic sprinter who has won gold. So, but it was a little surprising that it was Noah Lyles who was canceling. Although from his perspective, you got nothing to gain by beating Tyreek Hill. You're expected to beat him, and only something to lose. Tyreek Hill would have a lot to lose if he got hurt trying to catch up to Noah Lyles, and then ruining the Dolphins' season. That would have been just catastrophic.
What does he'll help ruin it one way or another. Don't worry about it. Just because this opportunity went by the wayside, there'll be many more opportunities for Tyreek Hill to ruin his year, our season, everything going on. So don't worry about it. Leave it to Tyreek Hill. He'll have some attention grabber coming up. By the way, I thought there was a lot of attention grabbing going on with Jalen Ramsey. Where's all the attention grabbing? Where is Adam Schefter's report there that there was a slew of people interested in Jalen Ramsey? Please, David Furones, tell us the latest. Where is Jalen Ramsey going to be traded to? Because now they're not saying it's LA. Now they're saying it could be another destination. Help us.
Yeah. Well, last I heard from Adam Schefter, he was on Pat McAfee saying one of the LA teams, whether it's the Rams, whether it's the Chargers even, so maybe a return to SoFi. But I know there's been some speculation online over his social media activity, regarding following some Steelers players. Granted, one of those would be Deshaun Elliott, whom he was teammates with already in Miami. So if he did in fact only recently follow him, that means he either didn't follow him as a Dolphins teammate or had unfollowed him at some point. That's all like drama that we don't really need to get into on guys' personal lives on social media with teammates and with each other. But yeah, I mean, at this point, it's been so long. I know it's got to happen here at some point in the next month or so. But man, I'm tired of chasing it. I'm just like, all right, just let it happen, and we'll react, because I'm also trying to take some time off during these weeks before training camp.
I don't, you know what, dude? I don't think that's a story you bother chasing.
Yeah.
It's not worth it, because it's going to happen the day that they find a deal that they can pay the least amount of money possible, and then get some kind of a decent pick, which they're really not going to get. They're going to end up with some third day pick or something like that, unfortunately, because of the situation they're in, because of the coach. It's weird how coaches, whether it's with the Minka situation and now this, your coaches have created situations where players don't want to be a part of your franchise. You know, the one story you do have to track is the Jonnu Smith one, because that one, he's going to be wanted by somebody. He's a player that can help any offense out. The tight end is so used in today's NFL that there's got to be a team or two or three out there that actually can use a guy like Jonnu Smith. So that one, I can actually see, some movement there. Plus, again, I think Drew Rosenhaus sometimes tells you exactly what's going on if you listen and pay attention to his words. He pretty much told you that he's got a feeling that thing's going to happen before training camp. So that's the one I think we got to track. That's the one I think that's going to happen.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised. I know you're on the he gone train, but I wouldn't be surprised because things could change, things are fluid. If before the start of training camp or right at the start of training camp, if the adequate compensation isn't found in a deal that the Dolphins do decide, and also dependent on how much they do have to pay to facilitate any Jalen Ramsey trade. If they have some spare change there and say, hey, will you stay here for this number? Jonnu compromises, negotiations happen. They feel differently about it within.
I don't.
I know you're not on. I'm still believing something like that.
See, because you and I view this differently. They're done investing in this coach. By the way, Welt Rheaume 954-966-4646. Bankruptcy, homeowner property damage, condo damage, criminal defense, personal injury, commercial litigation. Call my guys, Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume. The consultation is completely free. And Furones, you were a black bear in a dark room at the moment there. I don't know what the hell happened, but you dropped out.
I had a call come in from an unknown number, and then took my video out. So then I had to log back in. I'm back. And I turned off the notifications. So
tell those assholes you already have insurance, and you don't need any more insurance, bro. Come on. Tell them to stop pushing the insurance on you. All right, so here's where you and I are going like in a fork in a road here, and you're going one way, I'm going the other. To me, what I've seen this offseason, it's clear that they have stopped investing in Mike McDaniel. And so I don't think they want to get tied to players long term that they don't know who the offensive coordinator is going to be next year after they fire him during the season and they name Weaver the head coach. And then Weaver will have a new offensive coordinator. And we don't know if he will like Jonnu Smith or not, who is pushing 30 at that time. And so I think, and Jonnu is not going to take just a little bump in pay for the year. He could if he wants to, because maybe that might be the only thing left. I don't think that they would extend him. I think best case scenario is that they bump him for the year and he says, well, you tell him, bro, we can't trade you. We can't find a trade partner. We'll do it during the trade deadline, but here's a couple of extra bucks for the year. And maybe they add $1 million or $2 million or something like that. I don't think they're going to tie themselves long term to him because they don't know long term what the future is on the offensive side of the ball. I think they're done with McDaniel. I just think that they don't want to fire him now because they would look so incredibly incompetent because they gave everybody extensions. Everybody got extensions, last year. Front office, coaches, a bunch of players, they gave out a lot of money last year, and he was one of them.
Yeah, all right. So I guess two things, McDaniel and Jonnu. On McDaniel, I will say there's still a strong working relationship in that building. Him, Chris Greer, him, Stephen Ross, and the two of them. I know Stephen Ross, obviously, yes, he did retain both of them, so it was telling in that own right, as a lot of fans were sort of pounding the table for either or both of them to be gone. Yeah, a lot of people wanted both gone. Some people wanted one or the other gone. And Stephen Ross, within an hour and a half of the season being over last year, put out the statement, said he's retaining both of them, but he also did say status quo is unacceptable. So that sort of would lead one to believe a little bit of hot seat right now for both of them, as it should be after a season that went so awry. But I definitely would not say any decisions are already made on like last year for McDaniel, or that he's got to, now obviously he's got to do better than it was last year. But I think there's also an understanding of what he was up against with Tua missing time early on, 4 games without him, which I've been on the train of saying it could have been 3 if you just didn't immediately place him on IR. You still had more than a month with the bye week there too to let him recover.
Optics. It was all optics.
Right.
All it was.
There's that. But yeah, him missing 6 games overall, a season where the second half you were better once you sort of rebounded from that. Obviously not good enough to make the playoffs when that's at least the bare minimum of the expectation for this roster that was on an all-in train for so many years. So yes, they need to get to the playoffs. I still think you need to win a playoff game because that's been the whole thing for this whole movement from the rebuild of 2019 to under Flores, some seasons that were better than expected, 2020, 2021. You still fire him for a guy that the organization, Stephen Ross, felt they would work better with in Mike McDaniel, and then they do extend him. And I wouldn't say that they were on board with letting him go after last season, but they just can't do it because it looks stupid. I think there's still a strong working relationship in that building within the ones at the top. And then it's a lot of McDaniel on down where some of the rough patches are as far as him communicating to some players, getting them on board, like we see with Jalen Ramsey. Maybe what Campbell saw.
Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're giving me a lot of generalities about all of this. Let me give you specifics because you're avoiding all the specifics that have happened this offseason. You have disgruntled players that don't want to play for Mike McDaniel, specifically Mike McDaniel. You have players who have defected left and right, okay, that don't want to be a part of this team. And it's really because of Mike McDaniel. They're not complaining about anybody else. They're not complaining about ownership. They're not complaining about the front office. They're not complaining about Weaver or any of the other coaches. It's the one guy, okay? Then you have to look at the body of work. Has he, be honest now, up until this point, has he done enough to convince you that he's the guy? No, right?
No.
Okay. So if he hasn't, okay, so this is the offseason. You did practically nothing to actually be a better team this year. In fact, what's happened since 2 years ago, you have taken steps back. So what's required now in his final year of coaching is the best coaching job he's ever done because his team is lesser than last year and even lesser than that from 2 years ago. So if he's not that coach, you know that, I know that, fans see that, they see that. They didn't do anything really. They only did enough to survive, which was we must fix the guards because if not, the quarterback will get killed. And they did that. And they went and got big backs, which is not what he likes. Notice that's not McDaniel's thing. He got rid of the last big back he had last year, who then punished us later on in the season as we watched him. So everything that's been done has been done with no urgency whatsoever. I don't know, my brother, how you expect Mike McDaniel to save his job with a lesser team when he has never shown any improvement as a head coach. In fact, I could argue he has regressed as time has gone on. And now we're going into a final season and we have players that didn't want to be here, leadership, a ton of leadership that has walked out the door that he desperately needed in that locker room. I just kind of smell hopium here from you a little bit. I'm not smelling the facts and the realities of what we're watching. I think they have moved on. But they're not going to tell you, dude. But all the proof in front of us says you guys did the bare minimum this offseason, which tells me you're ready to turn some stuff over. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Because put it this way, if he hasn't earned the right to be a coach anymore, which he hasn't, that means you're going to deal with another rough season to then tell the fan base, hey, guys, we had to kind of reset, not spend so much money, but now we'll get to spend this offseason, and Mike McDaniel will get us over the hump now. Do you really think that after a season that's going to be rough this year, you're going to sell Mike McDaniel to the fan base and the media in 2026? Ask yourself all those questions. Ask yourself everything that's happened and everything that's developed. How could it go in a positive direction, to be quite honest? How?
See, a few things. This was always going to be an offseason where there wasn't going to be big spending. We talked about when we go 2 years back, it was, the 2-year window, or I think it was even 3 years back, we were talking about a 2-year window. And then that's why they had so many guys that defected for more money elsewhere with Robert Hunt, Christian Wilkins, Andrew Van Ginkel, Brandon Jones, the offseason before that. So that already kind of started that offseason. Though you still had so much going for you that where 2024 should have been a better season. When it comes to, yes, there were some defections, but I would say the guys who are there, the OTAs, minicamp, I think as much as you can be in the offseason program, I think they are bought in. I believe guys when they talk about it that, hey, Bradley Chubb was honest to say, you know what, yeah, we were always saying it because that's what you're supposed to say in the media, but last year we were lying. And he's like, I'm telling you, this year we are doing the right things. Again, that's only what they're doing in the offseason program. The proof will come when we start seeing it through training camp into the season and what happens then. So right now, yeah, we can't make any grand determinations, but the proof will reveal itself once they start actually playing some games. And what's the other thing I was going to say? Okay, and you mentioned it. How did they improve the roster? No, they didn't. It's not on paper as much. Definitely not. But the guard play, physicality on the offensive line, physicality in the run game. I think Mike McDaniel is now going to be more willing to make that adjustment in how he does things.
He has no choice.
He has to. He has to. And then defensively, yes, your secondary is taking a hit. You're hoping that if you're Anthony Weaver, that you can make up for that with development of some of their younger players. Still signing another veteran corner that we need to find out who that is. And then your pass rush should be much better with a healthy Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips to go with blossoming Chop Robinson. Zach Sealer's still there. You're bringing in Kenneth Grant, so that front seven with Jordan Brooks should be very tight.
Yeah, front seven. I love the front seven.
I love the front seven.
The front seven's fine. There's no doubt about that. But again, it's just you're just asking for way too much. You know what I mean?
And you need Tua to be healthy. It's going to come down to Tua being healthy.
Well, if Tua wants to play like he played 2 years ago, he'll be fine. If he wants to do stupid shit, then, the season's done. It's up to him in that sense. That part. Obviously, the offensive linemen have to do their job initially. You know what I mean? Because if you don't block and run the ball, it doesn't really matter. Tua can put up great numbers, but you're not really going to win in the end if you cannot run the ball and you cannot block. You know what I'm saying? But, we'll see what happens on the Tua side. That's up to him if he wants to play smart. But I don't see how you're setting yourself up for a rough season, okay? You really need a great coach to overcome all the adversity you're facing now. You have that. So what do? You're going to come back with Mike McDaniel in 2026? No. That's because Mike McDaniel is not going to survive 2025. By the way, would you like to bet some money on that?
I'm not a gambler, Big O. No, and I also very much should not openly discuss that I am putting money on Dolphins' success or failures as a objective member of the media that covers the team.
Not success or failure, just that Mike McDaniel's gone this year.
Well, that is either his success or his failure. So I definitely should not be publicly placing bets on that as someone who covers the team.
Well, if anybody wants to take it on, bring it on, baby.
Yeah, do that for your listeners.
I'll be
you guys.
Pembroke Pines tomorrow, Hialeah Park on Thursday. We are at Acura on Friday, so I'm at all kinds of places. So, but let's just say
Big O is accepting bets in Bitcoin.
We didn't make any kind of money bet. What do you say that my prediction is he doesn't last this season? What percentage points would you put on that?
Let's see. It would be probably like some kind of like even money. Like it might be one where I go like it's -110 both ways. Like -115. Yes or no?
So you're going like 55%.
I'd go even money. If I were the odds maker.
You're not even going 50-50. You're going like 55-60 that it happens.
Well, but the way it works, that's like that middle ground. Like both yes and no are -115. Like the odds makers always make something. So
it can't be picking, huh? Can't be PK. Can't be PK.
That's what I would do. I would be the odds maker and just make sure I make my money instead of placing my money down on one or the other.
All right. By the way, all the folks that are watching right now, what's the percentage that Mike McDaniel is gone? Okay, for me it's 100%, pretty much. Yeah, like it's like 99 unless he pulls a amazing coaching job and becomes this guru that I never thought he could be or something, which there's no way in hell that happens. He's still the same, scatterbrain. So I don't think it happens. So I'll go like 99%, but maybe 100. That's where I'm at. You know what I don't know how you have a mediocre year and then you sell the fan base. No. We were kind of resetting. Now we're ready to get. No, you do that with an established winning coach, a Spo, and you say, hey, we got to take a couple steps back, but we'll get, the people that Spo needs, and then we move forward. And then, okay, yeah, dude, of course, we got Spo. We're good. I just have a hard time selling him long term. I really do.
Okay, I'll play devil's advocate to you. Is that and I know you're against this point too, but he did bring along Tua Tagovailoa to another level once he took him under his wing. I think if he's got a full season of him, if they can rekindle that Jalen Waddle connection, Tyreek Hill connection on the outside, I don't know if John Smith is going to be there or not, but you got Devon Achane in the backfield, more physical components to the running game. And then the defense, yeah, that secondary is going to be shaky, but that front seven is very solid, and they can get pressure on the quarterback. So there are paths for this Dolphins team to win. I know offseason wasn't a thrilling one when Zach Wilson is the biggest name you brought in, and James Daniels is the biggest free agent signing as far as value to the team as he rehabs an Achilles. But there are paths for how this team can still find success. Yeah, and it starts with Tua being healthy. That's the one way where they can make up the most ground is if Tua doesn't miss those 6 games in 2025.
Look, I can't. I blame Tua totally on the injuries when he makes stupid decisions and throws his body around. That I will blame him. But you know what I find so interesting? That people like you, which are polluted all over the media and polluted our fan base because fans aren't very smart. They kind of repeat what they hear. You guys make it sound like Mike McDaniel saved him. How about if I tell you that Mike McDaniel constantly fucks him over? So did Flo. But I can tell you, hold on a second. I can tell you Saban took him to the heights that nobody else has done, including Mike McDaniel. Why? Because Saban knows how to coach. Saban knows how to build a real offensive line and a real running game so he can actually give him the tools he needs to succeed. What Lamar has in Baltimore, what Ryan Tannehill had for 4 or 5 years in Tennessee, what we've seen in Minnesota the last couple of years. As far as I'm concerned, the Miami Dolphins are the screw-ups, not Tua Tagovailoa. Tua knows exactly what to do. He just has incompetence around him. He has a coach. He got drafted into a team that the coach hated him, literally hated him, literally did not want him around, literally told him 1 week against the Ravens, no, you go ahead and leave and go play golf and get the hell out of our face. We've got this game plan for Baltimore, until he came off the bench unprepared, not much practice, and saved their ass. So what I would argue with you and a lot of people out there, I don't think Mike McDaniel saved jack shit. I think Tua Tagovailoa is who he is. He's a fucking warrior. He's super smart. He's an excellent passer. He's one of the 5 best passers in the NFL right damn now. Problem is he's stuck around a lot of incompetence. And so everyone, including media members, make it sound like he's the lost child. But if you put him on even level playing field like he was with Jalen Hurts in Alabama, he makes Jalen Hurts freaking move, leave, get the hell out of there, because he couldn't hang with them at the same time. So for me, my problem is everything else around Tua, or Tua doing stupid things with his body. Those are my problems. I think Mike McDaniel fucks Tua all the time. Doesn't have a running game, doesn't have a line that'll block. He thinks the guards are interchangeable. He can't get a play in on time. His teams can't even actually run plays without pre-snap penalties. This guy can't win a challenge. Dude, I can go on and on and on and on. He is more of a detriment to all quarterbacks. He didn't even prepare Huntley. He had Huntley running Tua's offense without dumbing down that offense for Huntley. He had another quarterback around for 3 years and had no idea that he couldn't play. Dude, I'm sorry, but I think a lot of folks in the media, like yourself, have mislabeled this whole thing. Tua's not the one that lacks the incompetence here. It's everybody else around him that has lacked the incompetence. So
I agree with a lot of the finer points that you made there, but the greater big picture one, I think, is revisionist history on your part, because Tua was a broken man coming off the Brian Flores era. I mean, let's not forget he was He was asking himself, damn, do I actually suck? He was just so
You
broken down.
broken
from
either?
that.
You wouldn't be broken either?
Yeah, I'm with him. I mean, I think a lot of people would have been. He had
Let me
Nick
re-
Saban coaching, and he
let me
was
remind
broken down.
Let me remind you something, bro. I've been around a long time. Marino was broken.
At
Did
what
you know
point
that?
are you referring to?
You know that? Did you know Marino was broken?
At what point? At what point? Tell me.
I was there. I watched it. Marino was broken by Jimmy Johnson.
By Jimmy Johnson. Okay.
He was broken, frustrated. They took away all his audibles. They took away his pass catching receivers out of the backfield. They took away his number one wide receiver. They brought him a bunch of slapdicks. They finally brought in Oronde Gadsden, at least from the Arena League.
Yeah.
And he fought everything and shocked the effing world that I'm here. I'm a player, actually. By accident, they added a player. By accident. Because on purpose, they got rid of all their players. And I was in the locker room. Okay. I'm the guy that asked Marino, how are you going to respond if Jimmy benches you? I asked Marino that, my brother. Okay.
What season was this?
I asked my favorite player in the world, what's going to happen if you got benched? The problem in the world is, okay, and I'm sorry to pick on you a little bit here, is a lack of perspective. Shit repeats. And example, sorry to get political. Biden screwed up, right? He left the border open and all that, and a bunch of bad people also came in, right? With some good people, correct? Would you agree with that? Right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Okay, you weren't around. Reagan did the same shit to Miami. He let the Mario boat lift.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And Fidel just emptied his fucking prisons.
Right.
And made Miami as dangerous as it could possibly be because I was on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
I was at clubs. I was watching all the escorias.
This is the 80s. Yeah.
Early.
I was born in 1990. But I watched Cocaine Cowboys.
That's right. And when you were a toddler, I was asking Marino about getting benched. And I saw a broken man.
Well, this would have been, what year did this occur? It would have been more late 90s, right?
94.
Oh, 94.
Well, 94, 95, something like that.
Well, Shula was still there.
Oh, Jimmy brought in a Wildcat guy.
Jimmy was mid to late 90s.
Right. Early to mid to, right. It was mid to late 90s, right? It was 95, 96, 97, something like that when I asked.
Somewhere there. Okay.
Yeah. Jimmy brought in a Wildcat guy for Marino. Huh. He had Terrence Mathis, the receiver from the Falcons, also do Wildcat.
Ah,
you know what that is to do to Marino? You know how you're psychologically? So this broken man shit, it's just like, no, bro, he's frustrated. He's pissed because he goes from a guy that hates him and has no idea how to use him or how to coach an offense to now we got a goofball that doesn't even know how to get plays in on time. The world's a cycle, bro. It repeats. It doesn't matter what it is. Life, fashion, politics. It all repeats, dude. It all repeats. And so, this whole broken thing, bro. Tua's a warrior. How do you come back from a hip? How do you come back? The guy blew out his ankles and he says, no, let's not just fix them. Let's put titanium rods in there. This guy's a fucking psycho, bro. He doesn't, he's built like my Yorkie, but he thinks he's, a mastiff. And that's just that's just who he is. So to me, this whole broken thing, no, it's not that it's broken. It's that you have failed him like we failed Marino, like we failed that guy. We didn't get him a running game. We didn't get him a right side of the offensive line. We didn't get him a defense. And then we gave him a head coach that hated him. Sounds familiar? Huh? Jimmy
Well,
Johnson hated the idea of keeping Marino around.
and that's definitely not Mike McDaniel and Tua's relationship. I'll tell you
No,
that much.
no, it's
Yeah.
not. But this is a cycle we live in. We relive it.
I don't. That was a fascinating story you told. I love the storytelling. I don't see the correlation between Jimmy Johnson and Dan Marino's relationship to Mike McDaniel and Tua, because I can tell you from covering this team now, they have a great relationship together.
I'm talking about Flo Tua. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Well, then he was broken.
When you say Tua was broken, I don't think Tua was broken. I just think Tua was just like super frustrated and at a point where he's just so honest. But does he really think that he was a failure or anything? Deep down inside, he knows he can seek revenge and believe in himself to have success. It's just that he's also not going to be so arrogant to that point also in front of you guys. So it's better to be more humble. It's better to be and show you more the weaker side of it, because it's only human nature to feel like he felt when you have a person that is constantly hating you, bro. Hating you. That's who Flo was. He was constantly hating the guy. What else is going to come from it, dude? What else was going to come from Jimmy Johnson just shitting on Marino constantly? Same thing, dude. I saw a super frustrated Marino. Was he broken? No, dude. He was just super pissed because the last few years of his career, from what was it, 95 to 99 with this clown, he had to endure all this garbage, and it's just brutal. Brutal.
That's why they're different situations, because that's Marino, who is established, record holder for all these NFL career marks, single season marks at the time, and then he's only been passed because it's been such a pass happy league and passing stats are inflated since. But based on compared to his era, I mean, still he blows everyone out the water. So you're talking about that quarterback coming toward the end of his career when he still doesn't have a Super Bowl and he's eager to finally get that chip. And then this is what he's dealing with. Whereas Tua, I think he does have some doubts as after he was this great college quarterback, but now he hasn't had the tremendous success as an NFL quarterback yet to that point. And on top of that, he's got a head coach that's belittling him and has him emotionally drained to that point. Then yes, I think it was McDaniel had to come in and his coaching style had to be what lifted Tua back up and just encourage him to the point of, okay, yes, I see how, yes, I can succeed in the NFL at the NFL level.
Pat in Asheville goes, oh, people just don't give Nate Jaquette enough credit as a wide receiver. That's a name from the past right there, dude. That was awesome. Pat in Asheville. That was awesome. All right. Anyway, I just for me, we'll see what ends up happening here. I just think and I think he's gone by week 10.
Okay.
I think he's gone yeah, I do, because the way things are, you're going to have to make some kind of a change and get Weaver in there and start getting him acclimated to the team. So we'll see. I just have a hard time understanding how this team's going to be successful after all the changes. All right, what do you got going on in the Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Yeah, I mean, right now taking it easy a little bit, but I was all over the Panthers coverage last week, the parade, filling in on that. So did that, covered their celebration at 11, which it was a really tough job, but someone had to do it. Someone had to go out to the world-class 11 establishment in Miami and cover the Panthers celebration. So yeah, we're actually, Sam Bennett made a big announcement when he was like, I ain't fucking leaving. So we got some news out of it too. So I was all over the Panthers stuff, and then now, I mean, just kind of ready for the news if Jalen Ramsey, a cornerback signing, Jonnu Smith, all that stuff. Before we maybe do a little staycation, a little take a trip somewhere at some point.
Is there shit? What was I gonna ask you right now? forget it. Doesn't matter. I guess it wasn't that important. Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _ and of course reach out to our friends at Welt Rheaume who make this amazing segment happen every single week. If you're unfortunately dealing with bankruptcy or homeowner property damage, we've got hurricane season going on right now through November. Hopefully we don't get hit by a storm, but if we do, don't call the insurance company. You call Welt Rheaume first. They will send their adjusters, and then they will attack the insurance company for you. 954-966-4646. David, see you on Friday, my brother. Be good.
Yes, sir. Great segment. Great talk.
Thank you, sir.